My granddaughter hadn't spoken a single word in 3 weeks. Not to me, not to her teachers, not to anyone. But last Thursday night, she slid a folded piece of paper under my bedroom door at 2 in the morning. I almost didn't see it. I was lying awake the way I always do now, staring at the ceiling, when I noticed the white corner sticking out from under the door. I got up, unfolded it, and read 6 words in her shaky handwriting. "Grandpa, look inside the piano bench." My blood went cold, because that piano bench had been locked since my daughter died, and I was the only one with the key, or so I thought. When I opened it and saw what was hidden underneath the old sheet music, I had to sit down on the floor because my legs wouldn't hold me anymore. But I need to go back to the beginning, because none of this makes sense without context. My daughter Claire was the kind of person who made a room brighter just by walking into it. She was a music teacher at an elementary school in Savannah, Georgia, where I've lived my whole life. She played piano like her mother did, sang in the church choir, and had a laugh that could make even the most miserable person crack a smile. She married young, a man named Derek, who seemed decent enough at first. He managed a car dealership, made good money, talked a big game about family values. They had my granddaughter Lily when Claire was 28. Lily was born with her mother's eyes and her mother's gentle spirit. By the time she was 10, she could play 3 instruments and had already won a regional spelling bee. But the marriage wasn't good. Claire never said much about it, but I could see it. The way she flinched when Derek raised his voice. The way she always deferred to him in conversation, even about things she knew more about. The way she stopped laughing as much. My wife Patricia noticed it too, before the cancer took her 6 years ago. "That man is suffocating our girl," Patricia told me once, and she was right. Claire filed for divorce when Lily was 11. Derek fought it hard, dragged it out for over a year, made it as ugly as possible. But Claire got primary custody and a decent settlement. Derek got weekends and holidays. For about 8 months after the divorce, things were good. Claire moved into a little house near mine, started a private piano lesson business on the side, and I watched Lily blossom without the tension. She started talking more, laughing more, playing her violin at school concerts. It was like watching a flower finally get sunlight. Then Claire got sick. Pancreatic cancer. By the time they caught it, it had already spread. She fought for 5 months, but we lost her on a Tuesday morning in February. She was 41 years old. Lily was 13. I was 63, living alone, retired from 35 years of running a hardware store. And suddenly I was the only stable thing left in my granddaughter's world. Claire's will named me as Lily's guardian if anything happened to her. We'd talked about it, Claire and I, during those last weeks. "Don't let Derek take her, Dad," she whispered to me from the hospital bed. "Promise me. He'll break her the way he tried to break me." I promised. Derek challenged the custody arrangement, of course. But Claire's lawyer had built an airtight case, and the court sided with me. Derek got visitation rights every other weekend and 2 weeks in summer, but I was Lily's legal guardian. He was furious. Called me every name in the book, threatened to appeal, said I was turning his daughter against him. But then something shifted. About 4 months after Claire died, Derek showed up at my door with a different attitude entirely. He was calm, almost humble. He had his new girlfriend with him, a woman named Vanessa. She was in her late 30s, attractive, well-dressed, with a smile that seemed just a little too polished. "Harold, I know we've had our differences," Derek said, standing on my porch. "But I've been doing a lot of thinking since Claire passed. Life's too short for fighting. I want to be a better father to Lily, and Vanessa here has really helped me see that." Vanessa stepped forward and took my hand in both of hers. "Mr. Callahan, I lost my own father young. I know what Lily's going through. I just want to help. Derek talks about her constantly, and I can tell how much he loves her." I didn't trust it, not one bit. But Lily was struggling. She barely ate, her grades were slipping, and she'd stopped playing music entirely. Claire's piano sat untouched in the living room, and every time I suggested Lily might want to play, she'd just shake her head and go to her room. I thought maybe having her father around more might help. Maybe I was wrong to keep him at arm's length, so I agreed to extra visits. Then Derek suggested family dinners, all of us together, to create stability for Lily. Vanessa would cook. It seemed harmless enough. Once a week turned into twice. Then Vanessa started coming over during the day to help around the house while Derek was at work. She'd clean, organize things, bring groceries. Harold, You really shouldn't be climbing that ladder to change light bulbs at your age, she'd say sweetly. Let me handle things like that. You've got so much on your plate with Lily. I just want to make things easier for you. Have you thought about what happens if you have a fall? Who's going to take care of Lily then? At first, it felt like genuine kindness, but slowly, like water wearing down stone, something changed. Vanessa started rearranging things without asking. She moved Claire's photos from the living room mantel to a closet because she said they were making Lily sad. She threw away Claire's herb collection from the kitchen because it was cluttered and expired. She suggested I sell Claire's piano because it was taking up space and collecting dust. Absolutely not, I said firmly. That piano stays. Of course, she said with that polished smile. I was just thinking of Lily. Seeing it every day must be painful for her. But Lily never said anything about the piano being painful. In fact, I'd caught her once, late at night, sitting on the bench with the lid closed, just resting her hands on top of it. She wasn't playing, just touching it. Then the memory problem started. I'd forget where I put my wallet. I'd lose track of what day it was. I'd walk into the kitchen and stand there for 5 minutes, trying to remember why I'd come in. One morning, I couldn't remember if I'd taken my heart medication. Another time, I found my car keys in the refrigerator. Vanessa noticed everything. Or rather, she made sure everyone else noticed. Harold, you already told me that story yesterday, she'd say at dinner, loud enough for Lily and Derek to hear. Remember? We talked about this for 20 minutes. I didn't remember. And that scared me. He left the back door wide open again last night, she told Derek on the phone one evening, not even trying to lower her voice. Anyone could have walked in. I'm really worried about him and Lily's safety. Derek started bringing up assisted living facilities. Just as a backup plan, Dad. You know, in case things get worse. He'd never called me Dad before. It felt wrong in his mouth. Lily, meanwhile, was withdrawing further. She'd always been quiet since Claire died, but now she seemed almost afraid. She stopped making eye contact with Vanessa. She'd eat her meals in silence and ask to be excused the moment she finished. When Vanessa tried to help her with homework, Lily would tense up like a wire pulled taut. One night, about 5 months into this arrangement, Lily and I were sitting on the back porch. It was warm, the cicadas were singing, and for a moment it felt almost peaceful. Grandpa, she said softly. It was the first word she'd spoken directly to me in over a week. I'm right here, sweetheart. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Her eyes darted to the kitchen window where Vanessa was washing dishes. Then she whispered, Never mind. Lily, you can tell me anything. You know that. But the back door opened, and Vanessa appeared with 2 glasses of sweet tea. Thought you two could use something cold. It's muggy out here. She sat down between us, and whatever Lily had been about to say evaporated like dew in the morning sun. That pattern repeated 3 more times over the next 2 weeks. Lily would start to say something when we were alone, then stop the moment Vanessa appeared. And Vanessa always appeared. She had a 6th sense for it. Or maybe she was just watching us, constantly. Then came the note. 2 a.m, paper under my door. Grandpa, look inside the piano bench. My hands were trembling as I went to the living room. The piano bench was the old-fashioned kind, with a hinged lid that lifted to store sheet music inside. Claire had kept it locked, because she stored some personal things in there along with her music. After she died, I'd locked it and put the key in my bedside drawer. I got the key, but when I tried to insert it, something was wrong. The lock had been changed. Someone had put a new lock on Claire's piano bench. I stood there in the dark living room, my heart hammering. Then I remembered I had a set of lock picks in the garage, left over from my hardware store days. Old habit, keeping tools around. It took me a few minutes, but I got it open. The sheet music was still on top. Beethoven, Chopin, Claire's handwritten arrangements. I lifted them out carefully. Underneath was a manila envelope that didn't belong. Inside that envelope, I found documents that made the room tilt sideways. The first was a petition for emergency guardianship of Lily, already filled out, with a sworn statement from a doctor. Raymond Voss claiming that I showed significant cognitive decline consistent with early-stage Alzheimer's disease. I had never seen Dr. Voss in my life. The second was a financial summary of my assets. My house, valued at $340,000. My retirement accounts, my savings, Claire's life insurance money that I'd put aside for Lily's education. Someone had researched every dollar I had. The third was a draft transfer agreement, moving all of Lily's education fund into a new account co-managed by Derek and Vanessa. The fourth was a printed email chain between Vanessa and Derek. I read it 3 times because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. They'd been planning this since before Vanessa ever set foot on my porch. The whole thing was a con. Derek's change of heart, Vanessa's kindness, the dinners, the help around the house. All of it was a calculated strategy to get close to me, establish themselves as Lily's concerned family, and then have me declared unfit. One email from Vanessa read, in part, that once the old man was out of the picture, they could sell his property and access the insurance fund. She estimated the total at nearly $500,000. Another email from Derek said Lily would come around once she realized who was in charge. At the very bottom of the envelope was a small Ziploc bag. Inside were capsules I didn't recognize, and a bottle of something called clonazepam. I didn't know much about pharmaceuticals, but I knew enough to know that benzodiazepines could cause confusion, memory loss, and disorientation. The sweet tea. Every evening, Vanessa always made it, always insisted on bringing it out herself, always handed me my glass personally. I wasn't losing my mind. She was stealing it from me. I sat on the floor next to Claire's piano, holding the evidence in my shaking hands, and I cried, not because I was scared, though I was, but because my daughter had been right about Derek all along, and even from beyond the grave, she was still trying to protect her little girl. Lily found me there. She must have been waiting for me to read it. She came downstairs barefoot in her nightgown and sat beside me on the floor. She still didn't speak. She just leaned her head against my shoulder and held my hand. "How did you find this?" I whispered. She pulled out her phone and typed on the notes app, then showed me the screen. I saw Vanessa putting something in the piano bench 2 weeks ago. She had a key. I waited until she left and picked the lock with a bobby pin. "I've been trying to tell you, but she's always listening." "The sweet tea," I said. "You knew about the pills?" She typed again. "I saw her open capsules into your glass once. That's when I stopped talking. I was afraid if she knew I saw, she'd do something." My 13-year-old granddaughter had gone silent not because of grief, but because she was protecting me. She'd been carrying this terror alone for weeks, watching me get drugged every night, unable to say a word because the woman responsible was always in the room. I pulled her close. "We're going to fix this, Lily, I promise you. But we have to be smart." She nodded against my shoulder. That night, we put everything back exactly as it was. I used my phone to photograph every document, every email, every pill in that bag. I uploaded it all to my email and sent copies to 3 different accounts. The next morning, Vanessa arrived at 9 with a bag of groceries and her usual bright smile. "Morning, Harold. How are you feeling today? You look tired." "Didn't sleep well," I said truthfully. "Getting old, I guess." She laughed. "You're not old. You're seasoned." Then she went to the kitchen to make breakfast. I told her I had a doctor's appointment, which was true, because I'd called Dr. Marcus Webb, my physician for 22 years, and told him I needed to come in urgently. I also called Patricia's old friend, attorney Donna Fitzgerald, who practiced elder law and had helped me with the guardianship papers after Claire died. Dr. Webb ran every test he could think of: blood panels, cognitive assessment, neurological screening. "Harold, your mind is sharp as it was 10 years ago," he said. "There is absolutely no evidence of Alzheimer's or dementia. But I want to run a toxicology screen because if someone's been administering benzodiazepines without your knowledge, we'll find it in your blood." "How long will results take?" "I'll rush it. 2 days. Donna Fitzgerald was equally direct. "Harold, what you're describing is textbook elder abuse and fraud. The forged medical statement alone is a felony. Combined with the drugging and the financial scheming, we're looking at multiple criminal charges. I need those original documents. I can get them tonight. Do it. And Harold, don't drink or eat anything that woman prepares." "Nothing. I've already stopped." "Good. You may feel clearer over the next few days as whatever she's been giving you works its way out of your system. That clarity is your greatest weapon right now." She was right. By the second day without Vanessa's sweet tea, the fog I'd been living in started to lift. I could think again. I could remember things. The car keys weren't ending up in the refrigerator anymore. I realized just how much of my decline had been manufactured. On the 3rd night, Lily and I retrieved the original documents. We replaced them with photocopies, so Vanessa wouldn't notice anything missing if she checked. I drove them to Donna's office first thing in the morning. That afternoon, Donna called me. "Harold, I've been in touch with Detective Maria Torres at the Savannah Police Department. She specializes in elder abuse cases. She wants to meet with you today. Can you come to my office at 3?" Detective Torres was a no-nonsense woman in her 40s who listened to my entire story without interrupting, then looked through the documents page by page. "Mr. Callahan, we see cases like this more often than people think. The slow isolation, the manufactured confusion, the financial positioning. Your daughter-in-law and her partner have been running a textbook elder exploitation scheme." "Ex-daughter-in-law," I corrected. "And she's not Vanessa's partner in the romantic sense. They're partners in crime." "Right. Here's what we're going to do. I need 48 hours to verify these documents, check the bank records, and confirm the medical fraud with this Dr. Voss. If his statement is fabricated, which I strongly suspect it is, that alone gives us enough for arrest warrants. In the meantime, act normal." "Can you do that?" I'd been acting normal for 5 months while being slowly poisoned. 2 more days was nothing. The hardest part was watching Lily continue her silence. She went to school, came home, did her homework, and said nothing. But now when our eyes met across the dinner table while Vanessa chattered away about some recipe she'd found online, there was something different in Lily's expression. Not fear anymore. Determination. On the second evening, Derek came over for dinner. He was in high spirits, joking around, being unusually affectionate with Lily, who stiffened at his touch. At one point, when Lily went to the bathroom, and I pretended to doze off in my chair, I heard Derek and Vanessa whispering in the kitchen. "The petition is ready to file next week," Vanessa said. "Dr. Voss confirmed the evaluation letter is solid. Once the court date is set, it'll move fast." "What about Lily? What about her? She hasn't said a word in a month. If anything, that helps us. We tell the judge she's traumatized from living with a declining elderly man who can't provide proper care. They'll hand her over without a fight. And the money? We liquidate the house first. Then the retirement accounts. The education fund we roll into the joint account. By the time anyone thinks to question it, we'll be in Florida with new everything." Derek laughed quietly. "You're a genius, you know that? Just practical, babe. Everybody wins. Except the old man. He'll be fine in a home. They take care of people there." I kept my eyes closed and my breathing steady, but inside I was burning. These people had looked at my granddaughter's grief and my daughter's death and seen nothing but dollar signs. They'd looked at me and seen an obstacle to be removed. The next morning, Detective Torres called. "Mr. Callahan, we've confirmed everything. Dr. Voss doesn't exist. The medical license number on that evaluation belongs to a veterinarian in Alabama who retired 8 years ago. The bank records show unauthorized access to your accounts through a power of attorney that was never filed with the court but was presented to your bank. We have arrest warrants for Derek Palmer and Vanessa Birch. We'd like to execute them this afternoon. Can you and Lily be somewhere safe?" I took Lily to my neighbor Hank's house. Hank was a retired Marine who'd been my friend for 30 years. I told him what was happening, and his face went hard. "You and that girl stay right here. Nobody's getting past my front door." We sat in Hank's living room and watched through the window as 2 unmarked police cars pulled up to my house at 4:17 in the afternoon. Vanessa's car was in the driveway. They'd asked Derek to come over on a pretext. It took less than 15 minutes. I saw Derek come out first in handcuffs, his face white with shock. Then Vanessa, still wearing her apron, protesting loudly that there must be some mistake, that she was just trying to help a confused old man. Lily was standing beside me at the window, and for the first time in almost a month, she spoke out loud. "It's over," she said. Her voice was small and hoarse from disuse, but it was the most beautiful sound I'd ever heard. I put my arm around her. "It's over, sweetheart. You're safe now." The legal aftermath took months. The toxicology report confirmed significant levels of clonazepam in my system, consistent with regular dosing over several months. Dr. Webb's cognitive evaluation proved I was fully competent. Donna Fitzgerald filed motions to freeze all accounts, revoke any documents Derek and Vanessa had forged, and permanently strip Derek of his visitation rights. At trial, Vanessa tried to paint herself as a concerned stepmother figure who'd only wanted what was best for Lily. Her lawyer argued the documents were preliminary drafts and the pills were natural supplements. The jury didn't buy any of it. They deliberated for less than 4 hours. Vanessa was convicted of fraud, forgery, elder abuse, and administering a controlled substance without consent. She got 8 years. Derek pleaded guilty to conspiracy charges in exchange for a lighter sentence. He got 5 years. During his sentencing, he tried to apologize to me. "Harold, I never wanted to hurt anyone. Vanessa convinced me this was the right thing, that you were too old to take care of Lily properly." I looked at him and said, "You didn't care about Lily. You cared about the money. Claire knew what you were, and she was right to keep Lily away from you." He had nothing to say to that. The months after the trial were about rebuilding. The house was mine again, truly mine, without Vanessa's rearrangements and manufactured crises. Lily started therapy with a wonderful counselor named Dr. Simmons, who specialized in childhood trauma. Week by week, her voice came back. Not just physically, but in every sense. She started talking to her friends again. She raised her hand in class. She joined the school orchestra. And one evening, about 3 months after the arrests, I came home from grocery shopping and heard something that stopped me in the doorway. Piano music. Claire's piano. Lily was sitting at the bench, playing a piece her mother used to play, a Chopin nocturne that Claire had performed at her last recital. Lily's playing was hesitant, rusty, but it was real. She looked up at me with tears running down her face. "Mom taught me this one," she said. "I don't want to forget it." "You won't," I told her. "I'll make sure of that." She's 15 now. She plays piano every day after school. She's got Claire's talent and Patricia's stubbornness, and a strength that's entirely her own. Last month, she told me she wants to study music therapy in college because she believes music can heal people the way it healed her. As for me, I make my own sweet tea these days. I keep my documents in a safe deposit box at the bank. I see Dr. Webb every 3 months, and my mind is as clear as it's ever been. I tend to Patricia's rose garden in the backyard, and I go to Lily's school concerts, and I live my life on my own terms. Sometimes I think about how close it all came to going wrong. If Lily hadn't been brave enough to stay silent when speaking would have been dangerous, and then brave enough to speak when silence was no longer an option. If she hadn't found those documents, if she hadn't slipped that note under my door at 2 in the morning, I might be sitting in some facility right now, drugged and confused, while Derek and Vanessa spent my money in Florida, and my granddaughter grew up believing nobody fought for her. But that's not what happened. What happened is a 13-year-old girl who'd already lost her mother found the courage to save her grandfather. She didn't do it with force or with anger. She did it with a piece of paper and 6 words and the quiet, fierce love that runs in this family like a river. If you're listening to this and you know an older person whose situation doesn't feel right, pay attention. If their personality seems to be changing, if someone new has suddenly taken control of their life, if they seem confused or afraid or not like themselves, don't ignore it. Ask questions. Show up unannounced. Look closer. Because what happened to me happens to thousands of people every year, and most of them don't have a Lily. And if you're a young person carrying a secret that feels too heavy and too dangerous to share, find a way. Write a note, send a text, tell a teacher. You don't have to carry it alone, and your silence doesn't have to be permanent. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is put the truth on a piece of paper and slide it under someone's door. Your voice matters, even when it's a whisper. Especially when it's a whisper.